I have wanted to talk about this movie for a long time. I had this planned last year for my Halloween special, but I got COVID and I missed a few weeks. This was one of those movies I had planned. I think I had planned 2 years ago, I just never got around to reviewing it, but we're finally talking about this movie. I want to talk about this movie and how hard it affected me as a kid. It's one of those movies where I should have not been watching as a kid, but I watched it as a kid, and here we are. Let's talk about this cult classic.
Here's Johnny.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Expecto Patronum!
Who she's gonna sacrifice to make it all better?
We want the boy.
You try it.
Kill him!
Released in 2007, written and directed by Frank Darabont, it is based off Stephen King's novella of The Mist. I've never read it, so I have no idea, but I've heard on the internet what the ending of the novella is and what this movie is. What is there to say about this movie? First things first, I got to watch it in black and white for the first time tonight. Huge recommend. Huge recommend. The trailer footage I'm using in this video is going to be probably the colored version, but if you get a chance to watch this in black and white, I think it's way better. I think it's way better, especially in the mist scenes and these obviously alien creatures. It's really cool in black and white, so huge recommend. So what is there to talk about this movie? I don't want to get straight into the ending, which we'll talk about, but this movie, Frank Darabont, this is his third time making a Stephen King movie. He did Shawshank and The Green Mile, which I love The Green Mile. And in this movie, it's definitely a horror version of a Stephen King novel or novella because obviously those other two movies are dramas. This movie has Thomas Jane and a whole big old cast of actors you'll see one day into entertainment's media, and you'll see a bunch of Walking Dead actors because obviously Frank Darabont went to go make The Walking Dead 3 years after this. This movie has a setting of a grocery store when a mist comes through the town and basically covers them up, but the thing is, there's something in the mist, and the movie has that entire subjective terror right there. Mist. You can't see anything. Looking through these windows is just white, and when it gets dark, it's just darkness. That alone is pretty scary, and the people inside of the store become scared more than the aliens out there. The people in the store. Thomas Jane is a very good leading man. Everyone who's like supporting character is very good, but obviously the standout is Marcy Gay Harden. I don't see how she wasn't nominated for an Oscar. She is a crazy religious woman in this store, and listen, I'll say this, my one issue with this movie is the depiction of the Bible and religion and people who go through rough times, go to religious and Christian and stuff like that, and just any type of religion, basically, they go to when crazy stuff starts happening. And so they use it as the end of days. And I think the movie depicts that in a way where those people who do that, it kind of makes it look like they're psychopathic, which isn't always true. So this movie might be a bad depiction of that. That's just my only issue with the movie. But her performance, wow. I mean, you hate her. You want to squeeze her neck. Because what she does, what she says, and everything that happens to her, and it follows her when the bug lands on her, she's safe and all, and everyone's like, we must follow her. And she starts building this entire store against Thomas Jane and his group. Her performance, I mean, she's literally Oscar-worthy. And besides the performances, I think most of the practical blood effects are very good. The scene where the kid from American Pie gets killed, it's pretty gruesome, and you get to see realistic blood spray on him. Now, the aliens themselves, when it comes to the CGI and such, I think it looks good. I don't think it's aged really well. I think there's certain shots in this movie just like, that's CGI, but it doesn't look awful. Like, it's not like, oh my god. It's just like, it's used in parts where they're fully in screen, and I think it's used nicely, but you can tell it's CGI. The scene he's chasing the freaking bird across the store with the fire stick, whatever, It's really well done. It's really well blocked and executed. I just think you could be like, okay, that's definitely like something's on fire and they're poking at it and they're wiggling around the room and behind the scenes. But when you're watching the movie, you're like, it's CGI. But when it comes to more of the alien stuff, I love when they don't show as much. Like when they go to the pharmacy next door, that's a really cool scene, again, especially in black and white. But like one of my favorite kills in this movie is when the guys walk outside and they're holding the string and then it just goes limp. And then it gets yanked, and they start burning their hands. They have to let go, and they finally pull it back, and it's blood. I love that. I absolutely love that. Again, this movie just creates an atmosphere of just depression, of like, we might not make it out of here. I mean, the guy from Star Wars Force Unleashed, him and the army people, they're the only ones that might know something, and what happens to him is brutal. It's actually like you feel bad for him because the movie does a good job at building these characters, building these relationships. So when people die in this movie, you feel really bad. So like I said, Frank Darabont, he directed a very good movie. There's great editing, there's a great score, there's so much good in this movie. And now, let's talk about it. Major spoilers. If you've not seen this movie, I'm spoiling the ending. I have to talk about this ending because it's potentially talked about as a top 10 ending in film history. I'm not even kidding you. I know it's a horror movie, it's a small movie, not a lot of people know about the movie, but when you've seen this movie, this ending affects you in so many ways. When I saw this as a kid, I literally was like depressed. I was sad. I was like, oh my god. And watching it tonight, it's I feel the same way. I'm just like, oh my god. So, this is not the original ending in the novella. Stephen King actually said he loves this ending change. He likes what Frank Darabont did for this ending. So obviously, in this ending, we see our people get away after Ollie gets killed, which I hate. When they get away, they see that Thomas Jane's wife is dead, which is already like, damn, they killed the wife. So they start leaving town, they leave, and they hear aliens outside the window, and they run out of gas. So the only option, with only 4 bullets, and there's 5 of them, Thomas Jane shoots them. He shoots the 2 old people, he shoots Andrea from Walking Dead, and he shoots his 10-year-old kid. And they're all dead. And so he gets out, and he's yelling at the monsters in the mist to kill me. And then that freaking chorus, the song starts of these women singing, and a tank opens up in the mist, and the mist starts to go away, and it's the army. He killed them because they thought it was monsters, and actually it was them coming to get saved. And it ends. It is absolutely a gut punch of an ending, and you literally sit there saying, oh my god. And the score is beautiful. It's this choir singing, and it's like, it's just hitting you, and Thomas Jane's crying. Dude, this ending it is a top 20 top. I don't know how many, like, there's so many movies, but I gotta say, this is one of the best endings of all time. Hell, honestly, if you think about it, it's one of the greatest twists, because it's like, oh shit. It's me thinking about it makes me depressed. It's a gut punch of an ending, and it makes the whole movie just better, honestly. Like, it's a good movie. It's interesting, it's horror, it's scary. When that ending happens, you're like, my god. And my mom hates this ending. She's like, that's not a happy ending. Not every ending needs to be happy, in my opinion. But overall, The Mist, besides this ending, I think holds up. I think it's a very good movie. I think it's great acting, great characters, a great situation, great horror, great cinematography. Some of the CGI doesn't really hold up, and obviously, like I said, with the religious aspect, I think it could be depicted in the wrong way. I feel bad for people who follow religion really hard in this situation. People would do that. It just would happen. I don't know about this extreme, but I don't know. One day, I guess when The Mist comes, we'll find out. But like I said, the ending is absolutely goosebumps up your spine. I think Frank Darabont made a very good movie. It's definitely my least favorite of the 3 Stephen King movies he's made, but like the other 2 he made are like masterpieces. But this movie, it's definitely a cult classic. I'm gonna give The Mist an A-. So, have you ever seen The Mist? I would love to know your thoughts. When you first saw it, how did you feel after that ending? Because, man, it literally makes my heart sad. Like, man, what an ending to this. It's a great end. It's a fantastic ending. When Stephen King says that's a better ending than the thing I wrote, I mean, that alone's like the author is telling you the ending's better. That's a great compliment. Anyway, guys enjoy this Halloween movie review, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody!